In India, an old form of fraud found new life thanks to artificial intelligence. Here is a real example of how it happens. A woman got a call from a policeman asking questions about her daughter and whether she knew where the girl was at the moment. The woman was scared and confused. He then said that the girl had been arrested and even let the woman talk to the girl. The woman heard her daughter crying and asking for the help. In reality, it was a deepfake generated by a neural network based on the real girl's voice. It's hard to say where the fraudsters got these recordings from, but most likely they found them on Facebook or WhatsApp. They wanted to convince the woman that her daughter was in trouble and blackmailed her. Luckily, she didn't believe them. But there are lots of people who did. Actually, 47% of Indian people were a victim or know somebody who lost money this way. The scheme is very simple yet very common. But using deepfakes is much more dangerous, because they copy a person's voice and make it sound believable, especially to someone panicking. Now let's get into what deepfakes are and where they come from. And don't confuse deepfake with what girls often find in their DMs. Welcome to the Valiotti Analytics YouTube channel. Hit the like button and subscribe if you like analytics, data science and neural networks. We talk about IT, data and more. Deepfakes are images, video or audio created by a neural network that imitates the voice and appearance of a certain person. The terms come from merging two concepts, deep learning and obviously fake. This is how we have deepfake. First deepfakes appeared back in 2017 and weren't used for fraud. A Reddit user made porn deepfakes using Scarlett Johansson, Taylor Swift and Gal Gadot models to replace porn actresses. You can find the results on the internet if you want to get back to the origins of deepfakes. At first, they were very basic and nobody believed they were real. But over time, technologies have improved and the quality increased dramatically. And what's more important, there are now lots of neural networks for creating deepfakes, paid or free. And this is the main reason why there are so many fraud cases with the deepfake usage. Recently, a KYC company Onfido released this report where they claim that in 2023 there were 31 times more deepfake fraud cases than in 2022. So now we know how fraudsters create deepfakes. Let's talk about where they get the source material and how they work with it. The first option is pretty simple. Deepfakes with celebrities based on a certain amount of photos and videos with them. Fraudsters use these images to hide their own appearance or to spread misinformation. For example, in Russia, a man called a woman pretending to be a policeman. He said her money was in danger and insisted on her on hiding it in a secure place. To be more believable, he video called her masking his own face with Robert Downey Jr.'s. For some reason, he had the most used disguise among Russian fraudsters. Eventually, the woman lost around $3,000. But why deceive just one person if you can do it en masse? Using deepfakes, people create ads for different unknown services, with celebrities such as this video with Justin Trudeau. Or they generate photos of Donald Trump being arrested. Interestingly, there is two sides to this point. Any scandalous video on the internet can be fake. But on the other hand, to some real dirt, people can also say it's also fake and they never appeared in it. The second option of how to create deepfakes is just to pretend you are someone else by copying his appearance and voice. In this case, the scheme is a little bit more complex. Firstly, fraudsters will find your personal information. Let's say they can use torrents to find your name, your phone number and even your ID number. Then they try to match all this information with something available on the web, such as photos, videos and audio. Social media accounts on Instagram or TikTok are the best source for deepfake creators, with different angles of a face and different samples of the voice. Even more, it's better when a person is public and often speaks on camera at different webinars, conferences or on their YouTube channel. This is exactly what happened to an investor from Florida. He called his bank and asked to withdraw the money from his bank account. The banker was alerted to the conversation, as he could barely understand what the investor was saying, and so he denied the request. Turns out it wasn't even the investor, but someone who generated an audio with his voice. from a keynote on some conference. But it also ended happily. The bank wasn't defrauded. One high-profile case was in Hong Kong. An employee received a call from the financial director requesting for a money transfer. The employee hesitated at first, but calmed down after the video call with the director and his colleague who he already knew. Eventually, he made 15 transactions for the overall amount of $25 million to 5 different bank accounts. Can you imagine? Turns out the director and other participants were fraudsters, hiding their identity behind a deepfake. The source materials were found on the internet, different social media accounts and real camera recordings from video calls. So what do we have? Are these deepfakes so cool that there is no way to recognize them? Happily not. The easiest way is when somebody, let's say your friend, calls you on the phone or sends you a voice or a video message asking for money. Or, like in the beginning of the video, ask for money for your friend. What you can do is just contact them in a different way. Call them at a different number, text them on a different messenger to make sure it is the real person. You can recognize deepfakes by unnatural behavior of the person. The speaker will be slow to react to your questions and will repeat all the same words. Sometimes you will even hear someone is typing a sentence for the neural network to sound it out. On a video call, you can ask a person to move and rotate their head or move their hands in front of the face. A deepfake will distort or break down at all. But if you are talking to the financial director, they could be not so happy with this request. For this reason, the MIT guys created a checklist what you can do at first and should pay attention to during a video call. First of all, you should look at the shadows, hair and glare on the face and the glasses. They could seem to be real at first sight. But if you look more carefully, it could be that the hair is growing randomly, not from the head. Shadows fall weirdly or are inconsistent. And the glare comes not from the light source. You should also look closely into the facial expressions. How lips are moving. Blinking and wrinkling might look unnatural, happening too fast or too slow. Different companies develop special software to recognize deepfakes. Ironically, these tools are also based on deep learning as well. For instance, for a couple of years already, Intel has been working on the fake catcher. This is the software that detects the deepfake by how the bloodstream of the speaker changes. It assesses how the color of the face changes and detects deviation from the norm. It hasn't been released to the public yet, and we don't know when it's going to happen. While we are waiting, you can use some already existing services, like Deepfake or a Chrome extension called Hive AI Detector. But none of these services will guarantee you 100% accuracy. Sometimes they miss deepfakes or mistake real videos for fake. So you can only rely on yourself and remain vigilant. Funny enough, the deepfakes are new threat, but safety rules are the same as they were 20 years ago, or even more. Not to send money on the first request and not to believe everything you see on the internet. But that's not all. Sometimes it's not only fraudsters that create deepfakes. Big corporations also do it, and quite legally. Now they are creating so-called real-time avatars. It's when an image of a certain person is generated in real time. It looks and sounds very realistic and can even keep a conversation going. Corporations suggest using them as assistants, but I feel like fraudsters will most likely find a use for this technology as well. What do you think? Are you more afraid of deepfakes or unsolicited dick pics?